Humans wear clothes every day, but few ever ask why. Behind this simple habit lies a 200,000-year-old story of survival and adaptation. To find its origin, we return to the Stone Age, when animal skins became humanity's first shield against a harsh and unforgiving world. We cover ourselves. Every culture on Earth, in every climate, across every era of recorded history, wears clothes. You might think early humans started wearing clothes for simple reasons: modesty, protection, warmth. Except none of those are the real reason we started covering ourselves. Let's look at the timeline. Anatomically, modern humans have been around for roughly 300,000 years. But when you look at the actual evidence, you'll find bone needles and hide-scraping tools only showing up around 120,000 years ago. And even that estimate is generous. Most textile historians place the widespread adoption of clothing at around 75,000 years ago, which means for the first half of our existence, we were mostly naked under the same African sun, dealing with thorns, insects, and cold nights with nothing but our naked bodies. That immediately rules out the most common explanation: warmth. Yes, humans eventually moved into colder climates where clothing became essential, but clothing shows up before that, while still in the tropics. So warmth matters later. The next explanation people reach for is protection. Thorns, rocks, insect bites, sure, that's part of it. But here's the issue. If protection were the main reason, clothing would have started on the parts that took the most damage: feet and hands. Instead, the earliest clothing covered the torso and groin first, the areas least exposed. That points to something else. Then there's the lice theory, and this one's actually fascinating. Back in 2003, a group of geneticists looked at something unexpected: lice. Not just any lice, the split between head lice and body lice. Head lice live in hair. Body lice live in clothing. They literally can't survive without fabric. So scientists traced when these two types split from each other. The answer: approximately 170,000 years ago. That's the oldest hard biological timestamp we have for clothing. Not some bone needle or a scraping tool, but because of a parasite. That gives a clue when humans started wearing clothes, partly because something evolved specifically to live in them. But that date still doesn't tell us why. It tells us when the behavior was already established. The actual origin goes back further than we can currently measure. We know when, but not why. The reason lies somewhere deeper than fabric and needles and lices. Here's what researchers have started to argue. Clothing wasn't a practical invention. It was a symbolic one. In 2009, archaeologist Gilligan published a detailed analysis about clothing and how we think. He suggested that choosing to cover the body reflects a deeper kind of thinking that sets humans apart from other animals. To wear clothing, you have to imagine a future version of yourself. You look at an animal hide, picture yourself wearing it later, plan how to turn it into something usable, and then actually do it. That might sound simple, but it's not. It involves memory, planning ahead, and thinking about the future. No other animal does this. A chimpanzee doesn't look at a leaf and think about how it could be useful tomorrow. But we did. And the moment we started clothing our bodies, we were demonstrating for the first time that we could think ahead. But there's something even deeper underneath that: shame. Not in the religious sense. Shame in the neurological sense. The awareness of being perceived. The feeling that your body is being observed and evaluated by others. This requires theory of mind, the ability to step outside yourself and imagine what you look like through someone else's eyes. Dogs don't have this. Crows don't have this. Even chimpanzees barely show traces of it. But somewhere along the way, humans developed the ability to see ourselves through other people's eyes. It wasn't just about surviving anymore. It became about how you looked, how you were perceived, what you signaled to others. The first person who wrapped animal skin around themselves was, in a sense, choosing how they wanted to be seen. And once that idea took hold, it never really went away. You can see it across cultures all over the world, even in places where clothing wasn't needed for warmth at all. Like parts of the Amazon or the Pacific Islands, people still decorated themselves. Beads, paint, feathers, simple fibers, tattoos. Something was always there, because the body was never just a body. Researchers studying clothing across cultures found something consistent. The impulse to dress accelerates as social groups become more complex. As tribes grew larger, as hierarchies formed, as strangers started interacting with strangers, clothing became a social technology, a system of instant communication. Before you could speak to someone, their clothing told you who they were, what group they belonged to, whether they were a threat or an ally, whether they ranked above or below you. Clothing is language, one of the oldest forms we have. You get dressed every morning without thinking much about it, but your brain is doing something ancient and deeply social every time you do. You're not just picking fabric. You're constructing a version of yourself that you want to project into the world. That anxiety you feel when you show up overdressed, underdressed, or wearing the wrong thing, that's 170,000 years of social cognition activating. That's your brain running the same calculation your ancestors ran around the fire. We solved the basics: cold, survival, protection. But we didn't stop. Our clothing became more detailed, more intentional, because it was never just about the body. It was about the mind. We didn't start wearing clothes because we were cold. We started because we became aware that others could see us. Tomorrow, you'll get dressed like always. But underneath that routine, something ancient is still there. You're not just picking clothes. You're choosing how to be seen. The same instinct humans have had for thousands of years.